Hello everyone. Just as a quick disclaimer, there's construction going on next door to my house, and so if you hear that, I'm sorry. It might be a little bit loud, so I'm sorry if that's kind of as a background noise. I'll do my best to drown it out, but it's still going to be there. Anyways, this is my review of Stephen King's Pet Sematary. I just finished this book yesterday, and I don't know what to say. I mean, I liked it, but there were things that I definitely didn't like, that's for sure. The way I came across this book was my teacher in English was talking with a student about Stephen King novels, and more specifically Pet Sematary, because the student had been reading Pet Sematary, and they were going over the premise, and it really got me interested. And I was already interested in trying Stephen King novels, for example, Carrie, and I decided to get both of them online, and that's how I got my hands on this book. I finished Carrie first, and it took me like a week. It wasn't that long. It was pretty short for a Stephen King novel. And Pet Sematary took me 2 months. I'm not really sure why so long, but it had a lot to do with the fact that there were a lot of downtimes in this book. It really didn't pick up for a while. It was just hard for me to read. But in the end, I mean, I'm glad I read it, but it was long. There were little things that I liked, like Rachel's joke on page 93, the Shining reference on page 182, the Ellie scene where she wanted Gage to say the S word was cute on page 231, and Lewis explaining faith to Ellie on page 253. I thought those were really nice. Those are cute little moments. Um, Now, for those of you who haven't read the book, those page numbers, those aren't really spoilers. Um, it's just kind of for those who have read it, but if you haven't read it, I would go read it, but in case you're still not interested, the best explanation I can give for you is Pet Sematary, excuse me, is about a man, Lewis Creed, and his family. So his wife Rachel, his daughter Ellie, and his son Gage um, move into a new house in Ludlow, Maine, with their cat Church. And they move in and they meet their neighbor, Judd Crandall, who's an older man that lives across this very large street. And Judd explains to them that the street claims a lot of pets because of the trucks that zoom right by their houses. And so that's the first concern they have because they have their cat Church. And Judd also shows the Creeds a pet cemetery up behind their house in the woods. And I can't really explain much more from there. I will admit, before I read this book, I was spoiled for one of two major parts, and I feel like that really got me interested. That's what kind of wanted me to read it. So I will share it, but I'm just going to put a warning now. If you don't want me to spoil anything, then I recommend you leave and go read it first, and then you can come back. Or you can just stay and listen and just enjoy yourself. But the major thing I was spoiled for was that Church died. And obviously he got hit by a truck on the road outside of their house. And I was told that he got buried up in this burying ground up behind the pet cemetery. And he comes back, but wrong. And that's what happens in the burying ground. If anything gets buried up there, it'll come back, but wrong. And that really grabbed me. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I'm glad I knew that, but it was still a spoiler. And granted, I also knew this is a major, major one, actually, that the book only says. So if you still haven't left because you haven't read it, definitely leave now. If not, thanks for staying. But Gage dies, and I found this out before I read the book too. So I was reading the book kind of waiting for these things to happen. And it was crazy to me that it didn't happen for so long. Like, that's why I had a hard time reading the book, because Church doesn't die until page 145, and Gage isn't officially dead until page 293. Now, I will say, I didn't want them to die. That's not what I mean, but I'm just saying I knew it was coming. And so I was kind of waiting for that to happen, and it didn't for a while. And that's what kind of got me, like, disinterested a lot. I mean, I guess this is a good segue into things that I didn't like. But um, I also didn't like the whole Zelda death subplot. For those who don't know, Zelda is Rachel's sister who died while Rachel was younger from some form of spine problem. I don't remember the disease, but it was really bad. And Rachel was really traumatized from it. And while I understand why, it just kind of bothered me. Like, I don't know, it just felt, I didn't really find a reason to, like, care about it. Like, I mean, sure, it added to her character, I guess, but, like, not really, because, like, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I didn't really like that very much. Um, and then, this is kind of a side note, but I'm just a little curious if this happened to anyone else. While I was reading, two of my pages just came out, page 323 and page 483. I didn't rip them out. They weren't ripped. They just weren't attached to the spine of the book. This is a paperback, so that might have something to do with it, and this is a thick book. But it was really strange. They just kind of fell out, and I still have them, but it was weird. It was really weird. I could just pull them out. So if that happened to anybody else, I'm curious. Let me know. Um, and also, um, as kind of the ending of the book, to address that, I didn't like the ending. I know that Stephen King isn't known for the best endings. Like, some people say that he doesn't write good endings for his books. And while I haven't read enough of his books to attest to that, I don't think this one's ending was very good. I liked the epilogue. I thought that was really cool. But the ending itself, I didn't like. I'll get into specifics. I mean, like, I didn't like how Lewis just burned Judd's house of, like, all the bodies. Like, okay, so for those who don't know still, um, what happens is, okay, so Gage dies, and Lewis goes and digs up his dead son, and he buries him, and he comes back. And then, he comes back while Lewis is asleep in his house, and so Gage goes to Judd's house. He steals Lewis's scalpel beforehand, and he goes there, and he kills Judd along with Church. He doesn't kill Church, but Church is with him, because both of them are from the burying ground, the Micmac burying ground. And so, what happens then is, like, they're like a team, kind of. Church doesn't hurt anything, but Gage kills Judd. And then Rachel comes home and goes to Judd's house and gets killed by Gage as well. And then Lewis wakes up that morning, goes over there, and I thought this was strange. I didn't like that he just killed Church. What he did is he took a bunch of morphine and he killed Church by, like, stabbing him with it with a syringe. And then he went in, he saw Judd's dead body, he went upstairs and saw Rachel's dead body, and then he fought with Gage and he killed him with morphine as well. And then he took Rachel, and then he burned the house down and he buried Rachel in the burying ground. And the epilogue is Rachel coming back to Lewis. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, sweet. Like, that was neat. But I didn't like that Lewis just kind of went in after everything happened, killed the cat, killed the kid, took the wife, and got her back. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there were a few things with Church that were kind of confusing to me. Like, I didn't, like, Church didn't hurt anyone from what I read. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, please. But he, like, he never hurt anyone. Like, yeah, he killed the birds and the mice, and I was confused when Lewis was like, he bought those. Like, I don't remember what page it was specifically, but there was a page that he said that he bought them, and I don't remember what page it was, but he said that, and he was acting as if he, like, purchased them. Page 313, where he said he bought the mice and birds Church had been catching and killing. Was he actually, like, buying those? Like, I didn't get it. Like, was he buying them for Church to kill? If so, then that didn't make sense to me. I don't know. Because Church was just kind of being an outdoor cat. So I didn't understand why he had to kill Church. I mean, sure, he was, like, evil or whatever, I guess, but he didn't do anything wrong. And I mean, Gage was killing people, so I understand why he, like, put Gage down. But, like, he just kind of burned the house and ditched, like, the whole thing, and I don't know, it just felt kind of lame to me. Like, because it was, like, all this build up and, like, tension of, like, he's gonna bring Gage back, Rachel's coming home, is she gonna see, like, this whole thing? But what ended up happening is Lewis missed everything. So Gage killed everyone, and then Lewis goes in and, like, saves the day in the end. And I just thought that was kind of stupid, because he just kind of shows up after everything happens and is like, oh, and then he just kind of gets to win. And I thought that was really stupid. But, I mean, I don't know. I liked this book, though, better than Carrie, so don't think that I'm just hating on it, but I thought it was a good book, overall. But I just didn't like the ending. Sorry, that's a cat. I didn't like the ending that much. But, you know, that's okay. Um, if there's any other Stephen King books that are, like, way better than this one, or any better at all, let me know, because I'm interested in getting into them. I have Christine, and I plan to read that and review that soon. Um, but, yeah, that's for Stephen King and Pet Sematary. Stephen King says this is one of his scariest novels, so I'm not really sure, um, like, if it is, but it was kind of scary in the whole aspect of thinking, like, what if something that died did come back? And it was really cool, so can't wait to see the movie. I hope you guys read this book, enjoy this video, like, subscribe, comment, whatever, do your thing. Let me know any books that you'd like me to read, because I've been looking for some, so thank you. Bye.